the family. The reason that our family has always been so close is because a lot of the Nelson family married Hardy family members. And so we were all double cousins, and so we were always around and knew everyone's business. But I was telling Richard one time, my husband and I we lived up at Lake Almanor, and we'd go down south for the winter, and then we'd come home and we'd always bring grapefruit for Aunt Maxcyne and Uncle Charlie. And so we'd drop by with bags of grapefruit for them to have from the Coachella Valley. And my husband would always get upset because Uncle Charlie would always have a garden filled with turnip greens. And my husband would say, "We bring them grapefruit, they ought to offer us some turnips." He loved raw turnips. So then I was telling Richard that, and Richard said, "Yeah, but we didn't eat the turnips." He said, "We ate the tops." So my dad would cut them, and Mom would cook them, and then we'd grow another batch. So he didn't dig up the bulb. They just ate the tops. My husband would have been happy to know that. And then one time, Mom and Herbert came down to our place on the desert, and then Mom and Herbert and I went down to Mexico, and they had bought that property up at Pioneer, and that 10 acres, and they had a creek that went through, and they made a pond, and stocked it with fish, and every year they'd restock it with fish, release it and let it go, and then come back when the floods were over and everything. They'd put the gates in and call up the hatchery and have them deliver some trout out there again. And so while they were down there, they were at home, they were building the 3 pigs and the houses, and then the yellow brick road and the bad wolf and all of this out in the area along the pond. So we went down to Mexico, and they bought some ceramic pigs to take back home, but they were so big, they didn't think they could haul them in their car with all the stuff they had. So my husband and I said, "Well, we'll bring them home when we come home, and then we'll meet you down in Sacramento and give you the pigs." So something happened the day we were supposed to meet Mom and Herbert here in Sacramento, and no one, they didn't show up. So then we said, well, we don't want to take them all the way back up to Lake Almanor and then have to bring them back again. So I called Aunt Maxcyne on the phone. And I said to Aunt Maxcyne, "Mom and Herbert were supposed to pick up these pigs, and I said they didn't show up, so can we bring them over to your house and leave them, and they can pick them up then?" And she says, "Well, I guess Charlie can build a pen for them." And so then I laughed and I said, "I think they'll fit nicely on your spare bed." So that's what we did. We took the pigs out and left them out there on the bed until Mom and Herbert came to pick them up. But she was priceless. And one time I called down there and I could hear Uncle Charlie in the background. And I said, "Aunt Maxcyne, are you all right?" And she said, "Yes." I said, "Oh, well, everything's going okay?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "Well, if you've got any problem or anything, well, let me know, because, I'll be right down to see you." And she said, I said, "You were my cousin before you became my aunt." But she said, "No, I'm just fine," she said. So I just let it go at that, but I always will remember that she was my cousin, and she's told me many times that we lived away from the farm, and she would carry me all the way down the Rock Road, or Jean. She carried Jean too, she told me that, and carry her for, it was about 3 miles, between 2 and 3 miles, and she'd carry us over to the farm, and always was around and available for whatever. And the steps that they got married on was on the new house, and we hadn't even moved into the house, I don't think yet, but they were building the house, and it was the concrete steps that went up, and so they were apt to stay there for a while. So she was a love.